A very good evening for all the people present here. We are your hosts for today's evening, Sofia Vasilenko
and Abdurrahman Gutob. So, welcome to MISIS. The question is, what is MISIS? MISIS is the opportunity for alumni and for the university to keep connected and to never stop growing together.
Right, and I believe that starting at the university is an important stage for each person, filled with warm and good memories associated with classmates and professors. And I believe that you have this story. Can you share with us?
Well, yes. I do remember that when I first joined MISIS, we had the welcoming event. And the welcoming event we had was one of the most interactive welcoming events I ever had before. And then I thought that I do want to be a part of this. And well, here I am, joining you in an interactive event. MISIS. Welcome, everyone.
Yeah, that's so nice. Thank you for so much and nice and interesting story. And you know, it's so nice to know that MISIS connects all us together for this event. MISIS.
Well, and now with our agenda of the event, of course, in the very beginning, we would like to share some of the experience that our alumni and our professional speakers gained that they are ready to share with you today. So with our first speaker today, with Professor Marcus Guest and the CEO of Power Maps. Would you please come in?
Hello, can you hear me okay? So I'm going to click this. Great, fantastic. So when I was asked to do this, my students asked me and said, will you talk at this event? And I said, what do you want me to talk about? And they went, talk about anything you like. So I said, okay, well, what's the conference about? And they went, growth. So I have no idea what this is going to be interesting for you. So they said, talk about what's interesting for you. So I'm going to talk about what's interesting for me. Hopefully it's going to be interesting for you as well. I'm going to talk about acting in a more uncertain world. So it's clear that we're living in an increasingly uncertain world now. This is data from the World Uncertainty Index, which suggests that clearly there's more and more uncertainty in the world. And the traditional assumptions we've been operating with until now are being challenged. So until now, we've assumed that if you put the right information in front of the right people at the right time, they'll make the right decision. But uncertainty means that people don't see what's in front of them. And even if they do see it, they may not be paying attention to what really matters. And action is a completely separate issue. So what we're looking for now is a new algorithm for acting in an uncertain world. And that is, we need to be able to see the data in front of us. We need to learn how to pay attention to what matters. And we also need to act effectively. So let's start there with acting effectively. So generally people look for best practices, but there are 3 good reasons why you should not focus on best practices when you're trying to act in a more uncertain world. And the first one is that best practices focus on form over substance. And Richard Feynman, the famous physicist, explained this best when he described the story of an island in the South Pacific Sea that the US Army used as a supply base during the Second World War. Now, the islanders saw airplanes landing with lots of materials, electronics, medicines, chocolate, and now they want the same thing to happen after the war's finished. So they've cleared runways in the forests. They've put fires along the runways like lights so they're lit up at night. They've even got a wooden hut for a man to sit in. And he's got 2 wooden pieces on his head like headphones with little bamboo shoots sticking out like antenna. And he's the controller. And what they're doing is they're waiting for aeroplanes to land. And they're doing everything right. The form is perfect, but it doesn't work. And that's because they're following form, not substance. And Feynman called this cargo cult science. And we have to ask the question whether Russia's attempt to build its own Silicon Valley in Moscow was a modern example of cargo cultism. And that's because it's impossible to replicate the end results of a complex system, because complex systems are sensitive to initial conditions. And this comes from the work of Edward Lorenz, who was running a weather simulation in 1961 in a very basic computer. And the simulation that he was running gave a very different weather pattern. even though it had the same data. And what he found was that this was due to a very tiny rounding error in one of the input variables. So he was reducing it from 0.506 instead of 0.506127. And he called this phenomena sensitivity to initial conditions. In other words, small variations at the start of a process can have huge differences in the results. So if you're trying to copy the end result of another system, the differences in starting conditions will produce vastly different outcomes. Playing with the, okay. And the third reason why you can't copy best practices is that you're always playing catch up if you are, because your rivals are continually evolving. So imagine you're in a boat race, and at the beginning of this boat race, your rival gets ahead of you. And your instinct may be to chase it. But if you're chasing it, you're always going to be behind. You're always going to be sailing in the same path, subject to the same wind. So your only hope is for the leader to make a mistake. And hope is not a very good strategy. So if you want to end up in some other place rather than last, you need to tack away. In other words, find a different course that will get you to the finish line ahead. Clicks there or there. So Russia has been ignoring advice for around about a century ago, or ignored advice around a century ago to plot its own path. And that's why it's now playing catch up. And this advice came from the most famous Russians that Russians have never heard of. That's Pyotr Palchinsky. There's a Miyaki Znak there somewhere. And he argued against copying solutions from the West unthinkingly, because context matters as much as the technology. It's not the technology that's important, it's how it interacts with the local context. And so he criticized Russian engineers for thinking that any solution that incorporates the latest science is the best solution. And instead he argued that Russia needs to see that its greatest natural resource, that all other resources pale in significance against, are its human resources, its people. And utilizing this correctly will bring more fruits than anything else. So Palchinsky was very famous in Europe. He wrote extensively. And he developed what we now call 3 principles for paying attention to what matters. The first is that you need to increase your chances of success by seeking out and experimenting with a variety of ideas. Don't just choose one. That's because in an uncertain world, some failure is inevitable. So you do multiple things on a small enough scale that failure is survivable. Don't put all your eggs into one basket, in other words. And you also need to develop feedback loops between decision makers and those closest to the action to select what's working in the local context and then amplify that. So what happens when we ignore these principles? Well, even great ideas languish without appropriate attention. As a Westerner, when I came to Russia, I always thought that it was Marconi that invented the radio. And Russians said, no, it's Popov. I thought it was the Wright brothers that invented airplanes. And Russians go, no, it's Sikorsky. And I thought it was the British that invented computers. And Russians go, no, it's Lebedev. And this becomes quite amusing because Russians always claim that they've invented some of the most important technologies of modern civilization. And Western commentators like me have ridiculed these claims traditionally. But this is a book by an MIT professor, Lauren Graham, who did the research about a decade ago and said, actually, when you look at the research, Russians have absolutely legitimate claims to being pioneers in the development of all these technologies. So why is it that Russians don't have world-beating companies in these industries? Well, to turn great ideas into commercial success requires more than the attention of a few pioneers. So Russia has abundant pioneers, those people who deal with uncharted components, new to the world ideas, who are happy with experimentation and uncertainty. These are the people most likely to discover new sources of gold. But everything we do and how we do it is evolving. So we need different types of people. We eventually need what we call settlers, those people who make products, who do the commercial activities. In other words, set up a gold mine and get the gold to market. Historically, Russia's lacking these. But we also need town planners, and those town planners are the people at the end who deal with industrialized components, who are those most likely to open a large factory selling shovels to other pioneers. We need all these different types of people. So in my business, in our work, we use maps, such as Wardley maps, which are open source, so they're free to use. We call them power maps in Russia because there's no W sound in Russian. And this is a way for diverse people to see the landscape clearly. And what we do is we start with what society needs. So this is an example for what we may need to create a vaccine in Russia. So society needs a vaccine. That's our user need. That's our North Star. But what we then do is look at all the value chains, the things we need to do to deliver that vaccine. We need breakthrough science. We need to manufacture the vaccine, and that needs quality control. And we need to focus on logistics and cold storage. And with a map, diverse people, the pioneers, the settlers, and the town planners, can start to challenge assumptions and deepen learning about what we do. We may show it to someone and say, well, if you're having a new vaccine, you need to communicate it to the public effectively, because it's uncertain. The public don't know what it's about. And therefore, we may need to set up a special communications unit. And for logistics, well, that's going to need distributors. So by having a map, we can challenge and understand what's missing, and we can learn. And that's why companies around the world, from Amazon to Netflix and Shopify, are using maps so people can learn things. Now, with a clear view of the landscape, our different types of people can focus on where they contribute best. Those pioneers who love uncertainty, well, let them work on the breakthrough science. Let them work on the special communications unit. And those people who are town planners, we'll put them over at logistics and doing the cold storage. If we put town planners in breakthrough science, they would get scared and hate it because it's uncertain. But if you put the pioneers on the right-hand side, they would get bored and very, very quickly and leave. So different people need to be operating on different things. Maps also reveal that there's no single best practice method. You may have heard people talking about Agile. Well, Agile is very good on the left-hand side when you're experimenting, because it's very good at reducing the cost of change. But you don't want to be doing Agile on the left-hand side when you're dealing with things like electricity supply. You don't want the electricity supply going out here all of a sudden because someone's experimenting, because that's the end of the conference. So here you're going to use Six Sigma or outsourcing things. And in the middle, you're going to be focused on learning and reducing waste, different methods for different types of situations. And so our people on the left-hand side doing the breakthrough science, they're doing things in-house. People in the middle, they're doing using off-the-shelf products. And people on the right-hand side are outsourcing the things. Different people choose the right level of method for the right level of certainty that they're dealing with. And so this is the algorithm that I think we need for acting effectively in an uncertain world. Use maps or some kind of visual method so you can see your landscape in detail. Have diverse people come together to challenge the assumptions on the map. Not each other, you're challenging the map. Something's missing. And that helps you understand what you should be paying attention to. And then you act by creating your own paths forward. What Deng Xiaoping called crossing the river by feeling the stones, finding paths that are natural to your environment. So my last slide, why is this important? Well, the future's being created now. Now is the time to adapt, not next year, not the year after. This is Holling's adaptivity cycle, and we see that there's a long the top right-hand corner, we see the long arc of modern Western dominance. Pretty much you can call it the last 500 years, but certainly in the business world from 1973 to about 2020. And in 2020, we've started to have a few shocks, and this is disconnected us from each other. And that's released a lot of potential into the market. So this is now the time of experimentation, looking at things, paying attention to things. Because we're going to need to act to reorganize around new ways of working. And there are many who will not do this. Many will not survive. Survival is not compulsory. Many will die out. But those who do exploit the new potential best, those will be the one that eventually dominate the future. So thank you for listening. Feel free to get in touch. My details are there. You can contact me if you want to. Website, social media. So thank you very much for your time. Hope it was interesting. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Marcus. So as we learned, like each situation has its own context, which we should study before we act. We do have lots of strategies available. We're not to copy them, but we're to learn from them and proceed in our own way. So thank you very much, Professor Marcus. And now?
Right, this was amazing. And now, welcome to this stage, International Coordinator at Carfida Flap, Geraldine Ospina.
Hi, everyone. I hope you can hear me. So, I don't know how this works. Presentation. Okay. So, good day. My name is Geraldine Ospina, and today I will come to tell you a little bit about my story as Mrs. Alumna. But before that, I would like to tell you what is Carfido Lab and how is it related with today's topic, Never Stop Growing with MISIS. Carfido Lab is one of the largest industrial development and product design companies in the Eastern Europe, with more than 8 years of experience and 3 offices in Russia, as you see in St. Petersburg, Moscow, and Yekaterinburg. We have more than 40 employees and 300 projects successfully completed in different fields such as robotics, medtech, smart home, smart industry, and exclusive products. As you see, we have clients of small, big, and medium companies such as Roscosmos, Unilever, JTI, Doka, and of different spheres. Our core competences are divided in 6 spheres: industrial design, body frame and structural design, documentation development, electronics development, mobile applications, prototyping, and manufacturing. Our general plan of work, or our product life cycle, starts with industrial design, where we focus on the customers and their needs, where we do some customer research, market research, where we are focused on UX and UI. We focus on what the client's needs and the market's needs, and then we put these ideas into concept designs, concept ideas, and see how we can innovate the products or improve them. Then we go to the technical design, that is like mechanical structures, how we develop all the calculations, 3D models, softwares, that is technical design, PCBs, electronics, sensors, and then we come to prototyping, where we build and test our prototypes. Something interesting about our company is that we are located in one of MISIS dormitories. We start there, and we count with an inside workshop where we have all the machinery, drilling, milling, CNC machines. Additionally, I would like to present to you some of our projects that we have been developed in these 8 years. This was a living capsule that would make a concept design for airports, train stations, where you can work, where you can sleep, and so on. Then we have Chromatic, that is an automatic personnel injector. There are not analogs in the market, not in Russia or in an international level. Then we have an autonomous delivery robot we developed for Sberbank. Right now, this robot is used in Sberbank offices. It's part of the ecosystem of Sberbank. It can carry up to 15 kilograms of packages, and it works. Other examples are of different fields. As you see, we have exclusive products, just as the guitar tremolo. We have home-growing systems to grow plants, vegetables, fruits. We have an IoT bike lock that is now in St. Petersburg working. We have biometric checkpoint for Prosoft. Right now also located in some Moscow offices. We have this thickness gauge that was an international project that it now is commercialized in Portugal. Additionally, we have our team is highly multi-skilled and very diverse. And international, we count with project managers, mechanical engineers, electronic engineers, industrial designers, and technicians. But how is it related with our topic of the day, Never Stop Growing with MISIS? The company was founded on basis of an engineering group project on MISIS. These are our co-founders 8 or 10 years ago, Alexei Karfidov and Dmitry Vasilyev. Alexei Karfidov is co-founder and CTO of Karfidov Lab and head of the Department of Process of Equipment and Engineering, all well known as ITO, at MISIS. And Dmitry Vasilyev is co-founder and CBDO of Karfidov Lab and project leader of S+ Consulting. Also, we have Mikhail and Alexander Shubin. Both are Senius Lecturer, CEO, and head of the client department. Both of them are since the beginning or the foundation of the company. Additionally, a large number of our employees are still students of MISIS or their alumnus. As you see, we have people from the electronic team, technician, project manager, mechanical engineers, additive manufacturing that are part of MISIS. As for me, I am the international coordinator manager. I decided to come to Russia in 2019 to do my master in Communications and International Public Relationship in 2021, graduated with honors, and I had the opportunity to do my internship at Karfidov Lab. Since that, I have been working for almost 2 years. I start with being a specialist in social media. Then I got promoted for being a project manager, and now I am in charge of all international projects, events, clients in terms of international. Additionally, I want to share with you that a large number of students from different cathedrals, or departments of MISIS come to our laboratory to do some tours, to do some internships, and we are always welcome and with the door open for all people that is interested in our lab to gain some experience. Some of the people that are nowadays working with us start as interns, as myself, and then they have been growing up and scaling inside of the company. Well, that's all for now. You can follow us in the different social medias. You can go through our website to check a little bit about our projects. And if you are interested in joining us in our company, also you can write us, and we are always welcome to receive new people and new talent. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Geraldine. So it's really touching, to see the people who studied in MISIS, probably almost the same time as us, to move and grow up even after MISIS with MISIS. Isn't it, Sofia?
Yeah, for sure. I totally agree with you. And I guess we can continue with our next speaker. And he is a Skoltech Master's student, laboratory assistant at the Institute of Physical Chemistry and Electrochemistry, Russian Academy of Science, lecturer at Russian Association. Then it's Dmitry Kuznetsov. Welcome.
Hey there. I see a little amount of people, but still, I hope somebody watching us online right now. I'll be more short, I guess, and more motivational for now. So, yes, it works. You see the number, right? Any thoughts about what it is? You may shout. Anyone? All right, you're not right. So, here's a tip. It's a sum of rubles. Any guesses now? Almost. So this is the scholarship I received throughout my 4-year bachelor degree in mathematics. So is it a big number, actually? Well, regarding scholarship, yes, it is. And here, however, my initial thought was not to boast, to yell. Instead, the reflection. It's the reflection of what I have done and what I will do. as I'm an alumni of MISIS. So it's almost like $13,000 for now, so it's quite a big sum. Let's get acquainted here. Who am I, actually? So currently, I am a Tech undergraduate. I am a master science student in information science and technology, and studying materials technology, so the materials science, etc. And as has been presented, I am the alumni of here at MISIS. So my first on stage was right a year ago. I graduated from nanotechnologies and microsystem techniques here. Currently, I'm also the lab technician at the Institute of Physical Chemistry and Electrochemistry of Russian Academy of Sciences. I'm also lecturing a lot. So you see me here right on the stage from the left. This was this stage. And being a Russian Society's non-native speaker, I attend tons of events. Here are the lecturing platforms partners who are partnering with me. Also, I'm sticking to the technological entrepreneurship right now. So I attend tons of events devoted to this one. And I keep partnering with top managers of the fields of food technology. That is a combination of food technologies and food engineering in information science and technology. So reaching this point in my presentation, you're probably wondering why I share all this with you and how this even depicts my education and career ways. Hold on, it's time to discuss. Now back to school times, I've never heard of MISIS, and I didn't know what sphere I would choose. So here are no visual interpretations, I'm just speaking to you right now. I also knew something tricky and global attracted me, like physics, so I chose physics. And it's crucially important to know that simply choosing physics or any other field to study does not define your future at all. Hopefully, I understood it quite early and literally began to test myself in the interconnected sciences and styles. Understood it in scientific way and scientific popular way, so I began the organizing of scientific popular events, I began lecturing, entrepreneuring, etc. Whatsoever else. After graduation from here, many people were shocked I left MISIS. So 4 years, bachelor degree, wow. But there was one person asking me, in MISIS, everyone knows you, you're an authority, why would you leave? Well, I want to address to you guys, why don't you make yourself an authority in any place you come? Why? You know what resulted to be the most vital in my scientific research, etc.? Communications. At the time, I did define I will stick to technological entrepreneurship. I already had around 1,500 contacts, just imagine, for 4 years, all around Russia and Europe. Networking is everything, that's why I hope we'll start it right now. So right now, turn left and right, back and forth. I know you're a little amount of people here, but still find someone, you may go to me right here, and share contacts. You will have just 1 minute for doing that. Minute starts now. Do it. Right now. You need to go around the scene, around the corners, around the places you sit, etc. Because networking is everything. You must know it. So do share your contacts, even if you know that it's not the person that you will acquainted with. So anyone.
I believe we already hear some laughing. That's good.
Yeah, sure. That's good. Hey, that's over. Yeah, thank you a lot. So get seated, please, and now tell me and raise your hand if you shared contacts with at least one person. Wow, great, thank you. So this is just a minute. It's only a minute for networking, and someone already has your contacts, and you already have someone's contacts. We do need to network. It's good to say move up the career ladder all by yourself, but at the same time, it's highly and enormously naive to think any of your goals may be achieved with no personal contact. Here are 5 main thoughts I'd like to share with you, my friends. First, never resist the temptation of yours. Of course, any of your deals should not harm the people. However, any initiative begins with listening to your heart. Listen to yourself. Second, on your way to anything you strive to achieve, do remember no authorities exist. You may be questioned like, what about my boss or vice rector? But believe me, for them you serve the same purpose as they do for you. So you as a team create a group of people first, an establishment, a state, whatever. But remember to respect others right the way you want to be treated. Third, remember that sense is not the aim. That was the quote in the Telegram channel. By this short quote, I mean your aims and ambitions should not ever be stopped by some spiritual and virtual sense of why shall I attend this or that event? Or I'm so tired, shall I go there? Well, go there, evaluate. Next, outline the vectors of your own development. Now, talking about me, at the beginning of my way, these were the fundamental scientist, the entrepreneur, the lab worker, etc. By a certain gradation, I understood which one I'd be developing in myself the most devotedly. Eventually, relax, do nothing. You surely will not be able to achieve anything if you do not sleep well and work all day long. So if you feel so, if you need to, postpone everything, postpone your homeworks and other energy-taking stuff. Just relax while sipping tea in your bed. But attention, do it carefully. Again, please do it carefully. So to finish, I'd like to outline boldly my version of success, if you wish. This is persistence. So my name of the presentation is, anyway, persist. Being persistent means you do not sit idly by. If you know this very door is closed and no one would ever open it now, you try and you find another door. I have a brilliant phrase on the tee I'm wearing right now. So what is your version of success? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dmitry Kuznetsov. I believe this really screams, never stop growing with MISIS. Like together with each other, with our networking, we will be able to move forward as one person alone can't, but together we can.
Yeah, totally. And so now it's time would like to invite to the stage our next speaker. Please welcome lecturer at Rudayan University, Mr. Mustafa Jamiu.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. I'm happy to be here today for many reasons. Number one is the fact that this is the second time I'm attending this event. And I happen to be one of the first to launch this program. So I'm happy to be here. And today's, this year theme happens to be a very lovely theme I really love. And it happens to also be towards the end of a time or the period which I got my PhD, and it resonates exact with what you have here. Never stop growing with MISIS. And here today I'll be talking about my peculiarities, or generally what peculiarities is, and my professional growth so far after I left MISIS. What has happened? And I'll be using this opportunity to also tell or to inform you what can be done in growing with MISIS and using your peculiarities for positivity. So, well, I won't bother to really do much here, but I guess my introduction, they've already told you about who I am and what I do. So currently, I work with Serdems Africa, which we are currently monitoring a national election in Nigeria. So with more than 150 to 200 volunteers across the nation. So Other than that, I do other political communication research after I left MISIS. So many things has happened in 3 years. Today, what I want to share with you, I have outlined here. Number one is to define what peculiarities is, or what they are, and the importance of it. So the differences. Peculiarity itself is about difference. What makes it different for you to be able to use it well? Two types from my own perspective, of course. So as an academic, I should be able to know when to stand on a particular, definitions. So I may say it's my own definition when it comes to conceptual definition. So we go with that. Managing and using your peculiarities as strengths. So there are many different types of peculiarities. We'll be looking at what are some of them, and you will know why you need to use some of them for strength. And my peculiarity story, my MISIS experience, and growth. So, definitions. I look at definitions of peculiarities from different forms. One is the fact that it's an important part of you that you need to really develop. You need to really identify and know how to use it effectively. So it's very important for you to know what are my peculiarities, which one works for me and which one doesn't work for me. So this is very important, and can be very difficult because it can be difficult to accept that it is mine, and it can also be difficult to use it in maximizing your potentials. So one is that there is something about your personality versus others. So some other people have their personalities, and people tend to want you to act, to do things in the way of theirs. So it's important for you to own, to accept what is yours and be able to define yourself for who you are. So when you're able to stand and know that this is me, and you can be able to know when I need to learn something from someone and when I need to stand for what I believe in. So another one is society, culture, how you were brought up, where you are coming from. So, for example, I'm an African. I'm from Nigeria, and I found myself in MISIS. So, of course, there will be differences among people I met, my teachers, and different people I meet on the street. So, that first thing is about the fact that I'll be seen, one, as a black guy. I'll be seen when I talk to some people and I discuss who I am for what I am. It does not mean it is a mistake. It does not mean it's a negative. It's up to you to know how to use them. So realize that, identify it, then you will know how to use it. Your goal versus others. For every one of us may have same goals, but we want to use it for different purposes. So you need to know that. Your dreams versus others. People have their dreams. You also have your dream. Even when you find yourself, I want to have a master's degree. I want to have a master's degree. So, and many of you want to have a master's degree. But you want to use your master's degree for different things. You're going to use it in different environments. That should be your competition, not the people you find in there. So, consider your peculiarities to be, one, a strength, a weakness, or the neutral. It could be in any of these forms. So your peculiarity could be your strength, and it's important for you to know that which one is my strength, and I should use it effectively. And which one is my weakness? Because it's your weakness does not mean that you are going to, put yourself somewhere and you don't want to show yourself. It's about the fact that you need to accept the reality of the fact that you can never be 100% perfect. It's my weakness. I'm a human, and I'm working on it, the one I can work on. I'm managing the one I can manage, and I move on as a human. And the neutral, it could be imbalanced. It depends on how people view and how you also see it. So that would define what it is and how you're going to use it. How do you manage and use your peculiarities as strengths? One, be dynamic. Wherever you find yourself in MISIS, you find yourself in the UK or anywhere in the world, the ability to be dynamic in anything you do. So don't be a static person, someone who just wants to come with one ideology. From where I'm coming from, it's how we do, and I'm not ready to change. Don't do that. Two, adaptability. I'm not talking about conformity. So conformity is not really good because it's way of you throwing your own personality somewhere and you want to just conform with what they want to define you for. So I have something I do say. I say that when you fail to define yourself for who you are and what you want, people will define you for what they want. So they're going to place you, and you're going to become a tool. So it's very important for you to know who you are and use it for yourself. Forward thinking. Don't think backward. So I'm happy today I'm in front of, at least I can see two of my teachers here. Malcolm Guest is here, and Lilia Bendereva are here. And I must say, I appreciate what you've done and what I passed through in your class. And some of these have really, contributed and, in shaping me for who I am today. So thanks. So forward thinking, be a forward thinker. Don't be a backward. So wherever you find yourself, always try to be positive. So nothing will ever be perfect 100%, but find a way to go regardless of the challenges you're facing. So be resilient. The previous speaker talked about the importance, and it happens to even be the final slide of him about how it's important. Resilience is important. Whatever you want to do, you have to be persistent. Stay true to that goal of yours. When you get distracted, then you're gone. So, commitment. Be committed to that goal. Things you've set for yourself. That will help you to manage your peculiarities. Finally, open-minded. Be objective. Don't come with, we all have our own culture. I grew up in 3 different societies. I've lived in different societies or 3 different countries, which, I've seen different cultural shocks that, totally different from how I was brought up. And try my best to adjust and develop through it. My peculiarity, story, growth, and MISIS experience. 1, self-esteem. This is not about proud or pride. And it could be pride, also proud, sometimes. So, meaning that I'm proud of who I am, and I'm unapologetic for who I am and what I stand for. So far as I know that I'm also contributing to something not positively in the society. So what you want could be different from mine, and you don't need to come and just, change me for that. I know what I want. For every society, let me tell you one story. One of the stories, same this university, and Lilia is here. We always fight. We always have a kind of a disagreement sometimes, but our disagreements, we usually find a way. So the first thing when I came after the first 2 months was when I went to her class. I was like, I know who I am, and I know what I want at this school. I don't think I can really go with this. I'm happy that she's an open-minded person. Yes, it's about argue. Tell me why. Give me proof. Why do you want me to give you that? That's okay. Sometimes some people cannot stand that kind of criticism, and they will be out. So that's helped me because she's open and I'm open, and we talk about what we want, and we move. So, self-awareness. Know yourself. What are you worth of? What can you do? Consistency. I want to do this. Be on it, time to time, and gradually you get what you want. Acknowledgement of what you can do and what you can't. It's one of the things I do. I know where I belong and where I do not belong. You can't know everything, of course, but still, to an extent, one of the key things I try to do for myself at the earliest stage of my life is to know who I am. What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? So I try to develop those. I try to manage the one I can manage, and I try to move on. So appreciation in all. It's one of the things I do carry. No matter how small it is, I appreciate people. I appreciate myself, and I appreciate my society. My MISIS growth and peculiarities. One of the first programs, and I was not a red student. I was not a first-class student, and I never fight for that. And I do tell people for many reasons. But I do fight for differences in society. I do fight for me to do what I need to do because I already know what I want. So one is that I happen to have the opportunity among my peers back then to attend an international community with the leaders of the university from different parts of the world. So those conversations of this particular day, they are part of what shaped me because I had the opportunity to interact with top-class researchers across the world. Another one, I had an opportunity to be an ambassador of MISIS in Nigeria and Ghana. I went. How did I get that? It was not given to me like, take, Mustafa. No. I went for it. I saw something, an opportunity for me to promote the university and promote myself, of course. So, and I did that. I designed a PR project, and we had an agreement, and I got it. So I went there. I was in about 5 or 6. I attended 6 different interviews on radio, TV, and newspapers. And today, those things also are part of what shapes my journey. I have some of my colleagues, someone from Italy there, Spain, Russia, I think Uzbekistan, and myself. So this was the final day of our defense. So then when I finished, how did I got my master's thesis? The reason I have this is, one, my master's thesis, I applied for, I've already chosen a supervisor. And suddenly I heard that they said, you're not doing this. Lilia Bandareva want to see you. Why? What? So I went to meet Lilia. And when we talked with Lilia, and she reminded me of some project I've submitted via the email. Mustafa, why don't we try this? I was like, okay. Then I look at it, and it happens to be one of the projects that they use to also create something in the university today. So my thesis happens to be a practical thesis, and that thesis, they are using it. And I even later heard that today, Russian government, they are looking for people to design a curriculum about technological entrepreneurship program, which was my PR, my thesis program. So my PhD, I had an opportunity to get a PhD at the Rudin University. How did I get that? At Rudin, my MISIS story was one of what got me my admission, number one. Number two, my MISIS story was one of what got me a job at Rudin. So I was in my second year when I got a job at Rudin. They asked me, what can you do? I submitted a proposal about the same project that I used in Africa for promoting MISIS. Was the same project I proposed to them. And this same project was the project that I use, and I'm also teaching under that particular program. Then my permanent residence, the reason I have this is about the fact that I did not use a red diploma. I guess Lilia is getting to know this for the first time now. I just got it last week. And I got it not through red diploma. I got it not through marrying a Russian. I got it through what I merit, my work. So, finally, my lecturing job at university, how I landed it, that's what I told you. And I'll leave you with this. Your peculiarities are what distinguishes you from others and serve as the keys to unlocking doors to success in unique ways. Identify it, study it, and learn how to use them as your strengths. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Mustafa. And actually, the stories that we heard really describes the lives of an international alumni, specifically also of an international student, specifically when they come to MISIS, of how also when we meet different people from different cultures and we sit long hours together discussing our differences and our peculiarities, finding them out together. So, everyone.
And right now it's time for a short break for 5 minutes, after which we will have a networking session for online and offline participants.
See you in 5 minutes. Hello, everyone, and welcome back. So now we start with our first networking session. Now, of course, the people here with us will be divided into groups, and we have a group here. And for the online participants, you will have moderators that will divide you into breakout rooms where you will be able to communicate with each other, network, and know more about each other. So I will leave this from here with you, Sophia. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you so much. So right now, I would like that our participants, Geraldine, Mustafa, Lilia, Irina, Mohammed, and Marcus will choose one card. Can you choose, please? Okay, right. And you? Okay, that's nice. Thank you. Irina? Okay, and you have yellow card. So right now, can you tell me who have red cards? Okay, it means that Irina and Mustafa. So right now, I would like that you will start to read one question, Irina, and Mustafa, can you please answer for this question?
Mustafa, how well do you work in a team?
Very often. because now we have more of a two mode of lecturing now. And so I have my students both online and offline. And other than that, I also have a kind of a weekly program with our current program, election project. So I use it very often.
Great. Thank you, Mustafa.
Okay, right. And Mustafa, can you pick one question from your card and ask Irina as well?
How do you find inspiration? At what time of the day do you feel inspired?
Oh, it's a very difficult question, but I will answer the part of when or where. Actually, when I'm having a shower and everything is in great conditions, the temperature, after work, you have to relax. I don't know, I feel somehow inspired. So yeah, it's a good place, I think.
Okay, so I guess it's interesting for each of us to know how you are inspired. And let's continue with Geraldine. What color of card do you have?
I have green card.
Okay, who has green card? Okay, Geraldine, can you start please asking the question?
Yes. So how often do you use your imagination?
It's almost like it's been rehearsed. Almost every time, always I use my imagination. Mostly when I want to draw back from my studying, so I use my imagination to just complete it in my head.
Thank you so much for the answer, Mohammed. And can you proceed with the next question to ask Geraldine?
How do you maintain work-life balance?
Sorry, can you repeat?
How do you maintain your work and life balance?
Whoa, I have like a very strict routine nowadays. But I think the key for me is like waking up very early in the morning because I feel more productive and like have a schedule and a routine. Like get to work out, then like meals, like try to prepare homemade food, then working, make a list of tasks that I need to do in the day, see what I can complete, like being realistic, what I can complete during the day, and prepare some other task for after work, then have some relaxed time, and that's it, I guess.
Okay, so that's nice. And we have one more team. It's Lilia and Marcus. And can you start, Lilia, please?
Marcus, I didn't know we were a team, but
We
now
are
I
now.
do. Well, since we are the only representatives of the faculty on the stage, I guess we'll make a great team together.
Should do.
And I suppose it's my turn to ask the question. So right now you're a lecturer at our university, and I know something about your current projects as well, but my question goes like this, and I go by the script. What sphere did you work in before? Have you ever switched, and why?
Before what? Before when do you say before when? So I think I've got a very similar question to you. So I'll answer this question. I think it's the same one. So I graduated originally in the UK in history and politics. And so then I went traveling, and then I went into business. So I then fell into business and found I was quite good at it. So I didn't end up pursuing a career based on my undergraduate degree. But later on, I did my MBA in the UK because I'd already been in business, and so I've continued doing that now. So I think the answer is you don't need to know what you're doing at first in your first degree or even in your 20s. I think you want to experience and see life and see what you like, and it might not be what you're expecting, but it's never too late to change. So I think that's probably my answer to your question.
Thank you. So what's your question to me?
So really, it's a doozy. Do you have a risk management plan? And how often, and if so, how often do you follow it? I'm glad you got this question.
Now I feel I'm sorry that I missed your classes, actually. I'm not allowed to be in your classes. I'm not a student. Risk management. Well, am I supposed to equal that to a backup plan for things, or just the way to try and evaluate all the possibilities that are coming? I think I don't like to stick to a plan. That's my risk management strategy. Because if there is a plan that I stick to, I inevitably fail. And I'd like to always see all the possible options that there can be. So this way I feel more resilient, and this way I feel more secure. So my risk management plan is to always pursue options, to always see. You know, they have a saying in Russia. I don't know if our international alumni actually know about that. But when you go to the forest to pick berries, to the forest glade to pick berries. So when you take one, you pick one berry, then you see another one, but then you notice the third one, and you think you can see another one somewhere in the dark. So you always see the options around you. So this is my risk management strategy.
It's a good answer. And actually, that's what my presentation finished with. The Deng Xiaoping quote is exactly the same. You cross the river by feeling the stones. When you take a step, then you see the options, and you can't see them before you actually make a move. So picking berries is the Russian version, I guess.
Right.
Okay, so that's nice. And actually, I have a question to you, Lilia. Do you find yourself as a good leader? How do you feel about it?
I definitely feel I'm a leader because I'm in a leadership position, but then I also see how my team has grown over the years from about 30 people to now under 200, just the very team, let alone the students. So I believe there is something that I could do well. Maybe I'm a lousy manager, but I may be a good leader sometimes.
Okay, so that's nice. And Geraldine, can you tell me, please, when did you graduate MISIS, and what kind of warm memories do you have from it?
Okay, I graduated in 2021, and warm memories, I think there are a lot. First, because I think we were like in this unique position of sharing with Russian students. Our master was half Russian students, half international. So it was like first time for me like to actually have this experience, people that actually like drives with you all over. Of course, there are certain challenges, but these are also good memories because it makes the person that you are right now. So, yeah.
Okay, and I believe that Irina can share as well her memories because I know that she's our alumni. Can you share, please?
Oh, well, I agree with Geraldine. There are a lot of good things that we experienced. I don't know, really. Maybe I should have prepared. But what I can say is that we had fun even though because we were the COVID guys. We graduated COVIDly, you know, and we had this special ceremony. We wanted to have our dresses and high heels. Still at home, we wore them no one knows, no one saw this, but as at least it's in our memories. But yes, to be honest, I would like to share a lot of things, but right now I can't remember. But that's it.
Yeah, I guess it's okay. So at least you have such memories from COVID period that everyone had. And Mustafa, can you tell me, do you have any special recipe to deal with stress, probably during your work, during your lectures especially?
That's probably a very difficult question to an extent, because how I manage those? Because I'm kind of I don't know what to say. Maybe I'm kind of a workaholic type. So when I start doing it, I'm doing it. Of course, as a human, and I'm not a machine, even a machine needs a rest. So sometimes I just need a nap. 5 minutes, even if not, sleeping, but just a nap, sitting, or sometimes I play game, FIFA. So that's one, when I sit in it, play some games and win some matches, and I'm back.
Okay, that's interesting. And I would like to know about you, Marcus, more. Do you use a lot of imagination during your lectures? Because I know that you're our lecturer at the university, so can you tell me about your imagination?
You give me the easy question, didn't you? Yeah, I've been teaching the course now for, I think, about 6 years. So I teach it twice a year. So I've probably done about 10 courses. So it changes every time, every year. It's not changing as much now, but it changes each time because as a lecturer, you need the feedback from the students in terms of what makes sense to them, what's not making sense, what resonates, what seems too hard, what seems too easy. So I think my course, imagination, comes from interactions with other people. It comes from seeing what you're saying, how that lands with them, and whether it's stimulating conversation, is it stimulating thinking. But with my course, because I know my course very well now, and it's quite structured in my mind, I know what I want to say. So because I know what I want to say, if I'm reading, if I'm having a shower, as Irina said as well, walking out somewhere, but if I'm reading something, watching TV, and something comes on there, it might just be a sentence, that's a better way of explaining what I've been trying to say. So I'll make a note of that, and when I come to teach the course next time, I'll go back into my files, and it's kind of, these are all the things that I wanted to improve my course on. So on that day, a couple of hours before the course, I'll change things and keep it fresh. So I think if you know what it is that you're trying to do, you allow yourself to relax, and these ideas sometimes just come to you. And sometimes when you're seeing and interacting with other things, it's like, that's better, I can improve it. But yeah, it comes from, I think, your audience and watching your audience and saying, is this working or is it not working? And that interaction, I think, is how I would describe it, my imagination and process.
I guess it's so nice and powerful imagination stuff. So, and we have one alumni left. It's Mohammed. And can you tell me, do you like still working in a team, probably at your work? Because I know that during our university life, we have a lot of projects and group works. And do you like to work in a team, or do you prefer to work individually? What do you think about this question?
No, I think it's better to work in the team. You should find collaboration with other people. It will open more opportunity for you. Until now, I worked individually, but I'm searching for new teams to join it in my laboratories, in my department.
Okay, thank you so much, and I guess that our networking session part 1 will be comes to an end.
Hello everyone, once again. So, of course, our networking session right now comes to an end, but for those who would like to complete networking with us, who would like to complete sharing, we still have a Miro board and links in Telegram through which you can follow to share your expertise with us in our Miro tree You can find all the links, of course, in our Telegram channel and in the broadcast.
Yeah, right. And I would like to continue what Abdul has told. And actually, it was really nice and powerful networking session, part one. And I would like that tell that I hope that you liked our MISIS event. I am MISIS, and I would like to thank you, all of you, our speakers, our participants who were with us. And actually, I can assure one thing, that at the end of the night, you will have great memories and moments that you will cherish and you will remember for the end of your life. Thank you so much. I want to thank you, our speakers, and give some memorable presents.
So, but speakers have to stay here on stage, right? We have some gifts to give. Okay, there you are.
The green and the yellow, they're the same color.
I know it's like green, yellow. Well, have I got yellow? Have I got green?
Am I the only one?
Men are generally colorblind.
And our event is coming to the end. We hope that you liked it, and we would like also to thank the Endowment Fund for this great opportunity. And actually, we would like to thank you for our great speakers. So it was nice to see you here, and it was a pleasure to listen to your powerful speeches. And right now, we would like to give you such nice presents and our certificates from the IMC's event.
So, Professor Marcus Guest, would you please approach?
Thank you. We've got a bag as well. Thank you very much.
Yes, Professor Mustafa Jamiu. And also very special thank you to Geraldina Spina. Thank you so much, and we are saying you goodbye.
Have a good evening, everyone.